What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So there is something that has been troubling me for the past couple of weeks or months, and it's something that I believe is completely unacceptable. There is really no way to justify that. It's not necessarily Konami's fault, actually, because it would be the secondary market, which is the price tag that some of the competitively sought-after cards have, especially when we look at some of the Age of Overlord cards, actually. Some of them are just completely ridiculous, and again, there is no way for us to really look at these cards and be like, yep, they deserve the price that they have. I think it goes without saying, but everybody understands now that Wanted is like $100 or something card, if not more. I don't know necessarily the price in US, but I checked the price in like TCG Player, and also some of my friends told me that the card was well over 100 Canadian, like 130, 140, which I really don't understand, because when you think about it, you know, cards that are over $100, they should always be like extremely overpowered. They should be like game-breaking cards, and Wanted is not one of them. Wanted, if anything, is actually, I want to say, borderline mediocre. Honestly, and I'm not really exaggerating at all. The card, all it really does is get you to Diabellstar and then refund you your discard cost. So when you think about it, this card is no better than Bonfire. And Bonfire is a card that's coming out in Maze of Millennia. So why would we have, you know, Wanted that would be like over $100 if we plan on basically almost power creeping it? Because the Snake Eye engine is going to be insane once we're going to be getting Phantom Nightmare, obviously, because Snake Eye Ash is a better one-card starter than Diabellstar. You want to use your 1-for-1 spell card into your monster that has like an effect when it's summoned, like a legendary Fire King Ponyx, for example. You don't want to use it on your Snake Eye Ash and then have to normal summon the Ponyx. That turns into a weaker combo, at least for the Fire King deck. So Bonfire is a better starter than Wanted, and this card is a stupid amount, as if there was no other substitute. And I keep, you know, seeing people wonder, is there like a budget way to play like the Fire King deck, for example, without the Wanted package? And you know, at first I was just like, well, I mean, the card was like $50 or something before. At least I would remember it at like that price. And now it basically like almost doubled or tripled, which again makes 0 sense considering the fact that it's just really not that good. It should maybe be like $30, honestly, because of, again, its power level. And the fact that in certain decks next format, this card is a 2 of. Like in certain like Fire King builds, you don't even want to draw this card desperately, and Diabellstar is also not that great, and it's like $60. Every deck list literally is running one copy of this card. So again, this card should be like $20. I remember very clearly when this card was $25, so why is it randomly like $60 or something? That's also extremely stupid. Again, this might be Canadian, but still, the conversion rate for US is 1.35 in case you didn't know. Now, another card that I find to be just completely stupid in terms of price would be Imseti. This card is like, what, like 70 something? Why is that the case? Like, who's playing the Horus engine competitively? At the moment, not really anyone. I mean, this engine is more of like a choice if you want to play it in your deck, but it's not necessarily like a necessity, you know? You can definitely live without it. The Tearlaments deck, if anything, people were very back and forth on it. Some people really loved it, some people hated it, but either way, like, people were getting all kinds of great results whether they were playing with or without it, so it doesn't really matter too much. And the fact that like such an optional engine can be so expensive and so hard to get, in my eyes, is also not really justifiable. Again, it's not really like you can blame Konami, because these cards are super new as well, so it's not really like we can say, oh, you know, they really need like a reprint ASAP. They come from the most recent core set, so we're gonna have to wait a little longer for us to get the reprint. But again, Imseti being priced at, you know, the value that it has right now is just not really representative of the power level of the card and the engine in general, because obviously the other cards are much cheaper. The other cards are actually like ultras or super rares, like the Pharaonic Sarcophagus. You can get the Happy for super cheap because it's a super. I have like 20 Happies, actually. Bestial Jewsworm is like, it has nothing to do, obviously, with these cards, because this is not from Age of Overlord. This is a little older. It did get a reprint, even though it's not even like that old. I mean, it's like a 1-year-old card, actually. It got one reprint, and it never really dropped in value that much. Yeah, it's like $10-something now. Why is that the case? Bestial Magnemite obviously is like $1 because it's limited, so you can only play one. Druidworm, on the other hand, you can play up to 3 copies. So you're gonna have to spend $30 on a playset of Druidworm, when I don't really think it should be like that, because there's just so many other alternatives. Like, there is Saronir, there is DD Crow, there is Baldric. Druidworm barely does anything more than the other cards when you think about it, but I guess the effect when it's sent to the graveyard to send a monster your opponent controls to the grave is not too bad. but I don't think it would justify it being such an expensive card for a super rare. Like, this card should probably be like a $3 card for a super. I don't think super should necessarily be like super cheap nor super expensive. It really depends on the level of the card, but $10 for one super I think is a little too much, especially for a card that got reprinted, because both the original set Druid Worm and the reprint basically have the exact same price, which just honestly confuses the shit out of me. Now, there are some other cards that may be a little older. I mean, Chaos Angel and Photon Lord are like really big ones. I think Chaos Angel is like $90 or something stupid, which again, I really do not understand. Maybe because Labyrinth needs to play multiple copies of Chaos Angel if they play Pot of Extravagance, and therefore people want a lot of Chaos Angels. That's the only way I can imagine Chaos Angel being super expensive, because it's not really like you can say that it's a universal staple that everybody needs. Yeah, sure, okay, you don't need a tuner to summon it, it's pretty good. Everybody kind of wants to have like one Chaos Angel just in case they end up playing a light or dark deck, or a deck that could randomly summon it. Like, if you can summon a Bestial Monster and then normal summon a level 4 light or dark, then you already have yourself a Chaos Angel, which is pretty good. But again, like, come on, the card should not be like $90. This is also really stupid. Did it come out in Age of Overlord or was set before it? I forgot, but either way, in my eyes, this card should maybe be like a $40 card. I mean, it is a secret rare. It is pretty much like a boss monster-esque monster at the end of the day. So I think it's a little more fair if the card is somewhat expensive, because it's just a one-of. It's not like Wanted, for example, where you have to spend like $300 to $400 on a playset of a card that isn't even all that great. So yeah, Chaos Angel, at least I'm gonna cut it some slack. Galaxy has Photon Lord. The reason why this card is super expensive is because of the Horus engine. Like, realistically, the only deck that is really, I mean, I guess there are two decks. Like, Centurion kind of wants to play the Horus engine with Photon Lord, and also the Chimera deck in order to play around Ash on the Mirror Swords Knight. That would be the reason why Photon Lord is somewhat expensive, but even in like Tier Elements or some other decks, like Photon Lord isn't even the best rank A that you can summon. Zombie Vampire is usually much better, and I don't think that card is super expensive. And another thing about Photon Lord is that it's getting a reprint very soon. I forgot the name of the set, but it's a special set with just like some reprints. It's not gonna be Maze of Millennia, so keep an eye out on the reprint for this card, because it's probably going to be dropping a little bit in value. But again, maybe not that much. It really depends on how easy it is to get. Like, if it's a card that you're guaranteed to be getting, then yeah, Photon Lord is going to like completely plummet. Yeah, you might want to sell this card right now. And as a matter of fact, I would even go as far as to say that depending on the price tag of Bonfire from Maze of Millennium, you might want to sell Wanted as well, because the value of this card solely depends on the value of Bonfire. If you can get some bonfires for cheap, then Wanted is probably going to be decreasing a lot. This card, again, is less good. And finally, the last card is SPL Knight, which is also very expensive. And what saddens me about SP is that it's like, what, 100, 120, depending on how you see it. This card, you might want to play two in certain decks, especially if you're playing, again, Extravagance, or even sometimes if you're playing like just a normal deck, you summon one of them with like IP, and then your follow-up play, maybe you want to summon another one to banish another card. It's just so much better than like Phoenix Cerberus Unicorn. It banishes anything, so it's just like a solution to everything. Playing two SPs is pretty much the equivalent of playing two Nightmare Monsters in your extra deck. Basically, that could be different. It's, again, a solution to everything, but you don't really want to like play two SPs just because it's so freaking expensive. The fact that its price tag is just so high removes people's incentive to deck build optimally and to sometimes play the most correct ratios. And sometimes they just have to like live with what they have, maybe settle on one single SP, even though their deck is kind of built in order to want to play multiples. Like Rescue Ace, again, is a great example, because when they're going to be getting Promethean Princess, they're going to be summoning the first SP, and then summon the Turbulence, and then use the effect. If they get Imperm, then they chain, and then they link off the SP into like a Promethean Princess, and then, you know, they play from there. Yeah, they're obviously going to require the second SP, because then the first one was burnt for their combo, and the second one is going to be like in order to hurt the opponent. But yeah, realistically, I don't think these cards are going to be getting reprinted anytime soon. Obviously, Photon Lord will be getting reprinted, so you don't have to worry about that. Wanted is definitely not going to be getting reprinted, definitely anytime soon. Same thing with Diabellstar and Imseti. Druid Worm maybe sometime soon. I hope so, because again, $10 for a super rare that you can have so many substitutes for is just completely ridiculous. And again, Maze of Millennia is going to be a set that just bothers me a lot, really scares me, because for the most part it's really weak. With that kind of set where there is like rare, supers, and ultras, I believe, and all of the good cards, the chase cards, are ultra rares, like Bonfire, Transaction Rollback, and #1 Infection Busking, and Triple Tactic Thrust. Thrust I think is like $60 because I don't think it ever got like a good reprint. Yeah, with Maze of Millennia, it's not even gonna drop that much because even getting the reprint of Thrust is difficult enough. And again, the Transaction Rollback and Bonfire cards are going to be like $100 probably. I'm already seeing like pre-sales of like these cards at like super stupid price tags. So yeah, watch out for them. And if you can get them for cheap, again, this is the best thing that you can do, at least right now. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts about the value of all these cards. Do you think that it's fine? Do you think they should be that expensive, or do you think they should be way cheaper? You let me know, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.